throughout the nation and around the globe. From his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, spirit, source, and symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive insights, and we go as guided. And as always, it's just action-packed. It always is. So let's jump in with our main theme. Put my spectacles on. With our main theme, connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture. Welcome, Alicia. And it's this beautiful image of Earth in the greater galaxy. And it's about connecting the dots and making sense of the bigger picture. Welcome, Elizabeth. Is about all of these major astrological changes that are going on. So, as Astro Butterfly put it, this time is different, and it is. And not again in our lifetimes, and we're talking millennia, if ever, that all of these major outer planets are changing signs. And so what we're experiencing is epic, to say the least. So this is about connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture. It's about our place in the world, our place in the cosmos. Welcome, Olivia. It's about understanding. It's a question we banter around. We ask ourselves throughout our lifetimes and, what's it all about, Alfie, and all that good stuff. Well, this is about connecting the dots. And number 4, from the unseen. So we're going to do the main theme, which is connecting the dots. I'm just going to bring the image back up again one more time. Connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture. And then number 4 from the unseen is when all is said and done. And then it was just this sense of magic and miracles. And 4 is foundational. So when all is said and done. And then it ties in, and you'll see this in a little bit further on in the show, that it ties into the Magician and the World card in the tarot, because it has to do with Mercury and Jupiter and Saturn. And of course, Saturn just changed signs. Jupiter is getting ready to change signs. And then Mercury, the messenger of the gods. And in the tarot, the Magician is the great manifester. And so number 4, when all is said and done, and then they said, and the sense of magic, miracles, it's the Magician, the World card. And they said, what we are going through is necessary. A necessary component of completion and advance, renewal. So, and this has to do with the symbol for Mars, the SABIAN symbol for Mars by Dane Rudhyar, an astrological mandala. And that symbol is Leo 26 degrees, and it's after the heavy storm, a rainbow, linking above and below. We've been talking about as above, so below. The covenant with one's divine nature, promise of immortality. In the Bible, the rainbow is the sign of the covenant established by God with Noah, the cyclic seed man, guaranteeing that no longer shall the destructive power of spirit, the Shiva aspect of the divine, be used to destroy life on earth. As we come to the 3rd level of the scene of release, we find, because we're letting go, remember that splitting apart, letting go of the past. So as we come to the 3rd level of the scene of release, we find that man who has been able to weather the cathartic storm face to face with their divine archetype, because they have been victorious, a link has been established with his divine soul being, our soul source connection. Both the human and the divine partners should remain thus linked. H.P. Blavatsky's last words were said to have been, "Keep the link unbroken." The link she forged with the trans-Himalayan brotherhood that had sent her into the darkness of 19th century materialism for this purpose. At this stage, the symbol of the rainbow shows us the need to maintain a state of open communication between the sky and the earth within our total being. Not for the sake of finding an ever-elusive pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, for this end is never to be reached, but in order to face the totality of individual selfhood as it is projected in the many-hued dome of our sky-flung consciousness. It's about our totality, it's about our divinity, it's about our soul source connection and maintaining that link, opening ourselves to that possibility, but to that truth. After every successfully met crisis, the revelation of worth comes to us, our value. We the people, the Aquarian matriarchal age, is a revelation of worth. And that comes to us, and with it comes the promise of success, if only we do our part. We must show up, we must do our part, we must be proactive and contribute. So we have this connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture, all these major planetary changes. And then number 4 from the unseen, when all is said and done, there's magic and awe and wonder and miracles. It's the magician in the world card. What we are going through is necessary, a necessary component of completion and advance, renewal. Let's take a look at the energies, the main energies. We are working with all month long, conflict, let go, letting go of the conflict. Youthful folly, we're going to be working with this today. Youthful folly, try again, because we're on the threshold. It's about renewal. So we try again, we get it right. It's a 9-year, all year long, small restraint, surrender. These numbers become a 19, which is approach, advance, that we're approaching the next incarnation of ourselves, the next iteration of ourselves. I mean, the whole of the whole, and individually, ourselves. 10 denotes new beginnings, so treading, that we walk with consciousness. It's cautious advance, that we move with awareness, with full consciousness of our choices, our actions, our words, our deeds. And of course, they culminate in the creative. It's the creative force, Mars energy. We've just had that, the rainbow symbol, the Sabian symbol for Mars, the creative initiate, the divine masculine aspect. So as we look at this, now here's where it gets interesting again. It's these energies are off the hook here. So let's just look at what's happening astrologically. So we had on the 1st of June, we have Venus conjunct Chiron. So the divine feminine conjunct the wounded healer. What are we healing? Then on the 6th of June, Venus entered Taurus. Well, it's going to enter Taurus. Upcoming on the 8th, Mercury is conjunct Jupiter at that anaretic degree, that most powerful degree at 29 degrees Gemini. Then hours later, Mercury enters Cancer. And the next day, on the 9th of June, Jupiter enters Cancer. Now, what was interesting is, again, there's seemingly Mercury conjunct Jupiter is seemingly a lesser, using air quotes, a lesser astrological event than Jupiter, the great benefic, moving, changing signs into Cancer. And yet the unseen said, when I looked at the two charts, they kept drawing me back to Mercury and Jupiter. So when we look at this chart, and again, the inner circle, it kept coming to me over and over again. I kept hearing Jack in the Box, Jack in the Box, Jack in the Box. And then not, like the hours later, the next day, and this has happened twice now, I literally was, I believe, on Instagram, and I saw this comes up, and it's literally a Jack in the Box on a flatbed trailer in Europe. There is a prominent politician that is the face of the Jack in the Box, bearing down on Earth. So literally, so I'm like, okay, Jack in the Box it is. Well, the origin. A theory as to the origin of the Jack in the Box is that it comes from the 14th century English prelate Sir John Shorn, who was often pictured holding a boot with a devil in it. According to folklore, he once cast the devil into a boot to protect the village of North Marsden in Buckinghamshire. In French, a Jack in the Box is called a diable en boîte, literally devil in a box. The phrase Jack in the Box was first seen used in literature by John Foxe in his book Acts and Monuments. There he used the term as an insult to describe a swindler who would cheat tradesmen by selling them empty boxes instead of what they actually purchased. It evolved, so this Jack in the Box evolved into a children's toy that outwardly consists of a music box with a crank. When the crank is turned, a music box mechanism in the toy plays a melody. After the crank has been turned a sufficient number of times, the lid pops open and a figure, usually a clown or a jester, pops out of the box. Some Jacks in the Box open at random times when cranked, making the startle even more effective. Many of those use Pop Goes the Weasel as the opening point in the melody when the word pop is played. This speaks to, so this astrological chart of Mercury and Jupiter conjunct at that anaretic degree, 29 degrees of Gemini, is speaking to us, and that's coming up on the 8th of June. It's speaking to us about surprises, unexpected, the devil in the box, these things that pop out, that are startling, that are revelatory, startling, that, and it also speaks to containment in the sense that once something is brought to light, it can be dealt with, so it can be contained because it's no longer unknown. It's known to us, it's known to the world. And in that image that came, as I shared about, this Jack in the Box with the face of a very prominent politician, it speaks to the fact that there will be revelations around this. That is why the unseen was drawing Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the way we think, communicate, things that are brought out. It rules communication. Jupiter is the great it magnifies, it's the great benefit. It magnifies, amplifies what it's, and so they're conjunct, they're together. So it's going to be loud. And you'll see in astrobutterfly.com and Astrology by Lauren how both are speaking to this aspect. And also the name Jack originates from Old French, Jacques, Latin Jacobus. It's a diminutive of John or Jacob. In England, by late 14th century, Jack became a generic name applied familiarly or contemptuously to anybody, especially a young man of a lower class. It evolved into a proper name to denote devices, animals, actions. So it's either something that's endearing or something that's contemptuously. Colleen saying already starting with Musk turning. So yes, there's much that's going to be. There's revelations here. And this Jack in the Box. What's startling, but it's revelatory. It's revealing. And then again, it brings about containment, not in hiding it, but containment in dealing with it. Because once again, it's out in the open. It's out in the open. So now let's move into, and I want to go to our mantra first. My vessel is a temple. This ties back to connecting the dots, making sense of the bigger picture. Why are we here? What is our place in the cosmos, in this turmoil and in this transition and everything? My vessel is a temple. So let's look at vessel. So in a religious context, a vessel refers to a person who is willing to be used by God or a higher power for a specific purpose. And you hear this, I believe it's attributed to Oprah. She often says in her prayer, use me, God, for a purpose greater than myself. And so this is, again, where we've been talking about placing in the Aquarian matriarchal era and age. It is about placing our soul and our soul source connection first. It's in the driver's seat. And the ego, mind, personality, human is in service to it. And so it implies a person who is open to God's will and ready to be used for his glory. You can use interchange, but the point is higher power, source, the all that is, that you're open to this higher octave of yourself, that we collectively are open to this higher octave of ourselves, a nation, a country, a community, a company, a government, an institution, that we're open to this higher will, that we're open to the host, to the master weaver. It's a willingness to be used. A vessel is someone who is receptive and willing to be used by God, even if it means facing challenges or going outside of their comfort zone. They are open to God's direction and are willing to follow his guidance, even if it seems difficult and unconventional. I mean, this is literally Abraham sacrificing Isaac and so forth. I mean, it's like going the distance, and then God stops it. But there was this moment of being tested. Where's your faith? Are you willing to go as guided? The primary purpose of being a vessel is to be used to serve God's purpose and his will, and advance his will. When we speak about God, we're speaking about our soul, about our higher self, our higher octave, which is pure. It's true north. And so it will always supersede ego, mind, personality, human, if you will. Examples in the Bible. The concept of a vessel is seen in the Bible, with characters like Mary, the mother of Jesus, being referred to as a vessel because she was open to God's plan, even though it meant she would be pregnant before marriage. In some contexts, being a vessel can also refer to a person's spiritual capacity or readiness to receive God's grace and guidance. How open are we? The more, the blessed are those who believe but do not see. It's about, do we recognize our connection to a higher power? Do we recognize our soul, and do we listen to it and go as guided? In essence, being described as a vessel is a metaphor that highlights a person's openness to divine influence and their willingness to be used by a higher power to fulfill a purpose. We can all seek to achieve our ego, mind, personality self. However, what source, divine influence, your soul has in store for you will always, unquestionably, undoubtedly, will always be far greater than what your ego, mind, personality, human allows or thinks. So it is about getting it, recognizing that we are this vessel. My vessel is a temple. So now it's temple. Again, I'm referencing from the Bible to give it a spiritual, biblical reference. It's a temple is a holy place, a dwelling place of God, and a symbol of God's presence among his people. It's a sacred space where individuals can connect with God through worship, prayer, and making sacred covenants. Again, the divine. So this is to recognize that our humanness, our physicalness, our bodies, are vessels that are temples. My vessel is a temple. The temple represents the place where God's space and human space overlap, where God dwells and his people dwell. They talk about heaven on earth. We are that. It's to recognize that we are that. That each one of us, 8 billion souls on the planet, physical human bodies, are both vessels and temples. It's a holy place set apart from the rest of the world, a sanctuary for worship and spiritual connection, prayer, meditation. What are we putting into our bodies? What are the words? What are the Who are the people we're associating with? What are the stories, the scripts, the labels, the identities? What are we consuming? Because it's a temple, it's a vessel and a temple. The temple symbolizes God's presence and glory, and in some contexts, it can also represent the body of Christ or the collective body of believers. The Bible describes both a physical temple, like Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, and a spiritual temple, referring to the believer's body or the church as a whole. Temples are also places where individuals make sacred covenants with God, receiving ordinances and blessings that are not available elsewhere. When we connect with our soul source connection, meditation, prayer, simply exercising our soul muscle, placing it first, this is where greatness, when two or more are gathered, when that comes together, it's amplified, it's magnified. And so again, this is all preparation for the new, for the new world, the new era, the new place, because of course, as we've talked about, it's the inverse of where we've been. We've had the ego, mind, personality, human at the forefront, and the soul, barely existent, if you will, as to whether people are connecting with it or not, or aware of it or not, or denying it. Well, now it's the soul and the soul source connection, the divine, at the fore, and the ego, mind, personality, human in service too. The concept of the temple extends beyond the physical structures, with the New Testament foreshadowing a heavenly temple where God dwells eternally with his people. So it's so fascinating connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture. When all is said and done, there's magic, awe, wonder, miracles. And what we are going through is necessary. And it's a necessary component of completion and advance, renewal. So where we may be struggling, or again, to what degree we're taking in external information. And again, look at algorithms with social media. You click on negative content and so forth, illicit content, things, the algorithm picks it up and just feeds you more and more and more of it. When you say, I'm not interested, you block it, you say, don't send me that, da 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 da, and you start focusing on more positive. And it's not to be naive, it's just that, what are we consuming? It's not just food, it's energy, it's information, all of it. Our astral body, our emotional body, our mental body, our physical bodies, our spiritual bodies. We have many bodies. Our vessel, our mantra is, my vessel is a temple. And that we treat it as such. That we remember to do this. Because again, we get off course. Many addictions in the world, many negative aspects in the world, many of these things, and that is, in essence, when we go down those roads, that's what we're feeding our vessel, our temple. Well, that corrupts our temple. It corrupts our vessel. Okay, now let's jump into, and before we do that, let me go to our keyword. It's togetherness. And I love this image of all of these hearts being joined together. And you notice the color is green. Green is the color of abundance, of fertility. And it brings about, so we have this beautiful word, togetherness. The pleasant feeling of being united with other people in friendship and understanding. A state or feeling of closeness and happiness among people as in unity. A happy feeling of affection and closeness to other people. The quality, state, or condition of being together. And then I heard very loudly, so we have this key word, togetherness. And then I heard very loudly, we are all in this together. And so again, this linking of hearts. And the heart chakra is green. For some it's gold, but it's green. The chakra color for the heart is green. So when we connect our hearts, when we connect, and don't forget, we're connecting, when you connect your heart, your soul source connection, and your human together. That's togetherness. You're unite, coming together, bringing them together. And then when we amplify that out and magnify that out to others, with others, for others, we have this beauty of togetherness. So now we're going to go to astrobutterfly.com and Saturn and Aries. And this is where it's number 6 from the unseen. It's coming from Astro Butterfly. This time is different. Couldn't be a louder, more prophetic truth and statement. She's talking about Saturn in Aries. So Saturn started a new 29-year chapter as it entered Aries on May 25th of 2025, which is significant on its own. However, what's special this time is that it's happening alongside Neptune's entry into Aries. Neptune has recently moved into Aries as well, so we're not looking at a standalone Saturn influence, but a combined dynamic that needs to be interpreted together. It's super important we interpret Saturn in Aries not in isolation, but in the larger context of Neptune in Aries. Neptune, also in Aries and only 1 degree away, deeply influences the expression of Saturn. In Aries, Saturn operates under Neptune's guidance, this co-presence that we spoke about in last week's show. The goal here is not just to enforce or contain, but see, enforce or contain, Jack in the Box. When this stuff comes out, we're able to contain it meaning manage it, deal with it, address it, face it head on. It's not contain as in to keep it hidden. No, it's contain it as, oh, here it is. It's popped out of the box. And thus, we are able to contain it in the way they're showing me like the Bounty commercial where, and it's green. It's a green liquid that spills and goes down the white table and it gets wiped up with the Bounty or the towel. Well, that's containing it in a way that is manageable, that we manage it. So the goal here is not just to enforce or contain, but to turn the personal, Aries, dream, Neptune, into reality, Saturn. No more, I can't. So this is about turning personal dreams into reality. This Astro Butterfly continues, fueled by Neptune's longing for something greater. Because remember, Neptune, it's like the highest ideal. It's like everything we aspire to and everything, the dreams, everything we want. Yes, it can be, its shadow is illusion and delusion, but its highest is its highest ideal. So Neptune's longing for something greater. Saturn in Aries becomes unstoppable. Saturn and Neptune meet in a conjunction every 36 years, and their cycles have always coincided with pivotal shifts in ideologies, which is represented by Neptune, taking form through new systems or structures, Saturn. So the Saturn-Neptune conjunction alone is a big deal. But what about when it occurs at 0 degrees Aries, the very first degree of the zodiac? Here we are talking about massive, in capital letters, new beginning. On a scale we have not witnessed in thousands of years, certainly not within a human lifetime. The last time Saturn and Neptune were conjunct at 0 degrees Aries is believed to have occurred more than 9,000 years ago, around 7,000 BC, a period that coincided with the birth of agriculture and the rise of settled human life. I mean, we're talking about going back to ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians, the Anunnaki. I mean, all the way back to we're going back to where we began, an octave higher. Here it is. Can we highlight enough the magnitude of this unique event? After Neptune entered Aries in March and Saturn followed in May, Jupiter is the next big player to shift signs. Moving into the nurturing sign of Cancer on June 9th, 2025, where it is exalted. Jupiter in Cancer is exalted, loves to be in Cancer. Jupiter only changes signs once a year, so this is a big deal. One day before the ingress, Mercury and Jupiter meet in the very last degree of Gemini for a final word, insight, or revelation before Jupiter wraps up its time in the sign. This is a powerful culmination point just before both Mercury and Jupiter leave Gemini, a moment of realization, announcement, or decision. It's this jack-in-the-box moment. Whatever is revealed, it's going to be very interesting and likely not without a capital letter bang, considering the energy of the anaretic 29th degree. This might be the moment of truth that changes the game, and the message is loud and clear. Something important is being wrapped up, signed off, or brought into full awareness. Now, it likely won't occur without a bang, and that it's wrapping something up. It changes the game. Well, the SABIAN symbol for Mercury and Jupiter conjunct at that 29th, the anaretic degree, is Gemini 30, a parade of bathing beauties before large beach crowds. The setting of social standards through personal excellence and competition. In this very American scene, we're talking about the Jack-in-the-Box and the very prominent, well-known political figure. So in this very American scene, we see a very ancient and basic process which can operate at several levels. Society sets certain collectively acceptable cultural standards and recompenses meaning rewards or compensates by prestige and fame the persons who embody them physically or mentally. This generates emulation and the desire to bring the social images to their most perfect or concrete manifestation. The archetypal image or canon of proportion is thus incarnated for all to behold and be fascinated by. This kind of larger than life, egoic, because it's a concrete manifestation, and it's this archetypal image or canon of proportion. It can be larger than life. And it's all for everyone to behold, to see. The process of exterioration is completed, meaning it's external, we can see it. In the zodiac, the spring season has come to a close. Now, the equinox is coming up on the 20th, 21st of June. It is summer solstice, that's the summer solstice. Fulfillment leads to new demands upon the individual human consciousness. The show is over. Now comes the hour of decision. So, containment, Jack-in-the-Box, this connecting the dots, making sense of the bigger picture. Because this isn't all random. This isn't all just happening to us. It's divine. It's purposeful. It's being magnified, amplified. It concretely manifested for all to see. But the show is over. Now comes the hour of decision. And then we also have the degree for the sun. A large archaic volume reveals a traditional wisdom, contacting the all-human planetary mind, underlying any culture and personal mentality. Cult tradition, wisdom tradition tells us that all cyclic manifestations of the human mind have had a primordial revelatory source, soul source connection, divine or divinity. It speaks of ancient books made of especially treated papyrus leaves and conveying through symbols the archetypal processes at the root of all earthly existence. Such volumes, said to remain in the possession of certain adepts, constitute the exteriorization, so it's outside of us, we can see it, of archetypal knowledge and wisdom. They contain the seed ideas from which the human mind grows, cyclically producing cultures of various types. So we're going, remember, astrology, it's cyclical, not identical. We all stem from a root, a seed knowledge, our divinity. This fourth stage symbol evokes for us the technique by means of which the human mind can uncover the foundations of its nature and acquire what might be called seed knowledge, connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture, understanding. It's our main theme in our image. It's making sense of why are we human? Why are these divine souls incarnated on this planet known as Earth in the greater cosmos? So this fourth stage symbol evokes for us the technique by means of which the human mind can uncover the foundations of its nature and acquire what might be called seed knowledge, the knowledge of the structure of cyclic and cosmic manifestations of life on this planet. It's speaking, this symbol is speaking to the fact, to the realization and to the wake-up call that it is cyclic, it's cosmic, it's a fourth degree symbol, so it's foundational, it's about life on this planet, and that it's seed knowledge, meaning what we receive to advance into the new. Because we are going through, what we're going through is necessary, a necessary component of completion and advance, renewal, when all is said and done. So it's important for us to remember that as challenging as these moments may be, it's necessary. And the way we walk through it is there's a fait accompli, there's a completion of the old, an arrival and beginning of the new. They overlap, and the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. And yet, it's number one from the unseen. They said, what's really happening, what's really going to occur will, quote, blow your socks off. And the meaning of that phrase is find it extremely exciting or good. Now, the unseen, this is the second time, the unseen gave me this phrase, what's really happening, what's really going to occur will blow your socks off. Not minutes later, I look at my email and I receive from one of my vendors an email that's talking about a new product they have that's, quote, going to blow your socks off. What was incredible about it is the instantaneousness of the synchronicity, the affirmation, the confirmation that we're getting this information that quickly, and the confirmations of it. Now let's move to hexagram 4. This is by Carrie Hone at cafeosoul.com, and it's youthful folly. Its action is try again, and its hidden influence is from last week. Return, go back. Its underlining cause is molting, transform. It is our first quote. No man is free who is not a master of himself. It's by Epictetus. So no one is free who is not a master of themselves, in the plural. This is where, the rubber meets the road, and we need to master ourselves, not control ourselves, not let our ego, mind, personality control or dictate, but to surrender to our soul source connection, to our higher octave, our higher essence. And when we do, and we exercise and hone that spiritual muscle, that soul muscle, everything changes, because my vessel is a temple. It's where the divine dwells within us, with us. It's where the magic occurs. It's how we access it. And then we place our ego, mind, personality, our divine masculine, the creative force, in service, in harmony, in unity with it, to it, for it. Because as we've always said, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So hexagram 4, youthful folly. The greatest thing Youthful Folly teaches is how knowing something with inner certainty means nothing needs to be defended. When we are ignorant, we use many words to defend our insecurity or vague ideas. When we are enlightened, we need no words or confirmation of our truth. Teachers come into our lives in many forms. Be open to how this may be happening. The time calls for going back and trying again. Go back and meet ourselves. Go back and try again. Go back with the intent of surrendering to our soul and our soul source connection. Go back with the understanding and the fortitude and the commitment to Neptune in co-presence with Saturn in Aries, creating our highest ideals, our greatest joys, because this time is different. The time, remember, it was from God created you for more, and your time is now. That was from last week. This is the moment we've been waiting for. Looks like mayhem and chaos and craziness, but that's just the end collapsing upon and under its own weight. From the rubble, we bring forth the greatest gifts of life, the life itself. We pull from the rubble life. We don't drag the rubble along with us into the new. We search for, we rescue, we retrieve the best of the best life, the purity of life. That we then embody and bring forward with us. Carrie Hunt at cafeofsoul.com, she continues, Youthful Folly cultivates a state of mind that not only allows you to stand at the threshold of awareness without judgment, it also brings the joy of discovery that ensures your success. Life keeps us in a state of not knowing precisely to keep us growing. There's a beauty in not knowing. It's the hermit card with the lantern. It's the star. Is the light in the lantern? It's not this floodlight that exposes our entire path. It just reveals the next few steps. There's a knowingness. Your soul, and it's to follow that. And that's to precisely keep us growing. The underlying cause of youthful folly is that a period of molting or revolution has led to a state of innocence where you can be led. It is a time, so we're in this moment of molting and revolution, of being awakened in a way, shockingly, in a way, and it doesn't matter your gender, your political stripe, your socioeconomic status, and all these things. We're being shaken to our core, awakened. That's molting and revolution, which will lead to a state of innocence because it reminds us of our divinity, of our purity, of our innocence, of our goodness, of our higher ideals, of what we truly want for ourselves, our loved ones, and others. Where you can be led, soul source connection, follow, be led. It is a time to become a student again. It's a time to be, we're the guest, not the host. So it's this time to become, innocent again, a student again. And in Tao's pursuit of excellence, carving and polishing means removing the layers. Cutting and grinding is the cultivation of the self. Youthful folly is the symbol of something growing beneath a cover. It portrays the illusion of how you believe that you must conquer others to develop power. You will find, and this is our second quote, you will find that you must only conquer yourself. See, look at the radiance of this. It's a sea creature, and look how luminescent and lit up and pure and vibrant. You must only conquer yourself. To do that, we need to conquer the illusion that we have to conquer others, or that we have to conquer our, what I was going to say is that, it's about conquering your ego, mind, personality. You don't kill it. We need a healthy ego, mind, personality human. It's crucial. We just don't want it. What we want to conquer is when it falls into the shadow aspects. And even the shadow is purposeful. So we want to harness the energy of the shadow. But this is the point. We harness them. We don't become them. We don't quadruple down on our lesser angels, if you will, or our demons. We recognize them, and then we go, it's energy. Let me harness it to, in this beautiful image, we must only conquer ourselves. And then you realize at your center, this brilliant, milky white, luminescent star creature. It's magic. That's what we're looking at. So, Youthful Folly portrays the illusion of how you believe that you must conquer others to develop power. You will find that you must only conquer yourself. Lastly, the Master said, one of little words has inner value. In the process, because we don't have to defend anything. What is. It speaks for itself. It's like the truth. It speaks for itself. In the process of learning, you will find that words are a measure of your inner certainty. And it brings us to our final quote. To stand in silent knowing is real power. And I love this image of just the orbs of light and the candle. To stand in silent knowing. It's like to stand in the void, in the darkness, and be that light. That's real power. Because it speaks for itself. Your soul speaks for itself. It radiates. Your divinity speaks for itself. It radiates. Allow it to lead, to come forward, to shine. To be all you can be, to use a military, U.S. military, I believe it's for the Marine Corps advertising slogan. Now let's go to Astrology by Lauren. And she's speaking to Saturn in Aries, the general. It's not easy to let go of the bowlines and attempt to reach the farther shore. It requires a bit of courage. It requires gumption and a willingness to take the first step out into the unknown. See, this takes chutzpah. It takes fortitude and, enthusiasm and innocence and this willingness to step out into the unknown. It is before us. And as you can see, where Jupiter and Saturn at the 0 degree of Aries hasn't happened in 9,000 years since our origin, or at least our latest incarnation of humanity. Of all the planets, Saturn approaches the idea of the new with the utmost hesitation and caution. Saturn takes baby steps and very, very carefully approaches what could feel like utter chaos. That's number 10, treading, cautious advance. Here's Saturn. See that Saturn takes baby steps and very, very carefully approaches what could feel like utter chaos. So, as Saturn enters Aries, as it did last week, we are asked to do so carefully, to prepare and be strategic. This isn't run roughshod. This isn't, go crazy. This is treading, cautious advance. It's with clarity, with a sense of purpose and value and determination and empowerment. From the perspective of Saturn, the Aries world is a world in which dog eats dog, where we dominate or are dominated. This is why Saturn enters Aries wearing a shield. We all feel a little defensive in Saturn in Aries weather, but we do so while also readying ourselves to meet the competition. I would interchange the word competition for to meet the opportunity, because we're not in competition with one another. We're in harmony and unity with one another. So but we do so while also readying ourselves to meet the opportunity of the moment, the opportunity of the day. Maybe it's the opportunity of a lifetime. Saturn in Aries is the general, gathering the forces and readying the troops for battle. So, although there is some resistance to the new with Saturn, once he gets engaged in the new expectations, the new world, the new everything, there is no stopping him or us. So see, there's hesitation. It's before us, where we are and where we're going. We have not been before. So yes, is there hesitation and reticence and fear and all that good stuff? Sure, of course there is. But like Saturn, we've got our shield, we've got source, soul source, we've got the divine with us, in us, with us, in front of us. Archangel Michael, Jeanne d'Arc, I mean, you pick it. They're present with us. And so, although there is some resistance to the new with Saturn, once he gets engaged in the new expectations, the new world, the new everything, there's no stopping him or us. And see, that's what we were talking about. Like when we begin a new relationship, we move to a new city, a new career, a new job or something. There's always this hesitation, reticence, this little bit of nervousness and anxiety and whatever. But once we get going, there's no stopping us. We hit it. Also know, this is Astrology by Lauren, also know there is no passing the buck here. Saturn in Aries asks every one of us to step up to the plate and take responsibility. For we are being asked to be the architect and the director, the general of our own lives and circumstances. However, to do this well, we first must know who we are and what we want. Who are you at your center? Who are we? What do we want? What is the world we wish to live in? What is the relationship we want? The marriage, the relationship, the harmony, the career, the community, the country, the company. First, we must know that in order to become it, be it, emulate it, bring it about, lead with it. Saturn is not doing this work alone. Back at the end of March, Neptune entered Aries and is still in these early first degrees of the sign. And from now until April of 2026, these two planets are never going to be very far from one another. They're in co-presence in Aries. In February 2026, they will perfect this conjunction in the first degree of Aries. This summer, they get really, really close. So they're moving forward. They're in tandem in the early degrees. Both are going to retrograde. Then on February 26th, 2026, I believe that's the correct date, they will literally be together at the 0 degree Aries degree and then begin moving forward again. But this summer, they get really, really close. It's a prelude to what's going to happen. So Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries is about committing to any new ideals, spiritual paths, or meaningful endeavors that Neptune in Aries is sparking. This is when we follow through on what till now was merely an inspiration or a whisper in the wind. This is when we dare to make those ideals real. It requires strategy, it demands hope, and it can be done. So Neptune is the idea, the highest ideal, harnessing Saturn, the great taskmaster, in Aries, the creative force, to make it happen, a fait accompli. There can also be some issues with Saturn-Neptune cycles. It can lead us astray with false lights and false promises, through propaganda, the emperor's new clothes, truths being seen as lies and lies being seen as truths. It can be confounding. Sue Tompkins makes the association of poisons with these Saturn-Neptune cycles. These can be actual, but it can also be about those other sorts of poisons distorting our perceptions and shattering our dreams. So this is again where, what am I consuming? Am I consuming lies and saying their truth? Am I running down the rabbit hole, falling down the rabbit hole? Am I allowing my social media algorithms and everything to feed me more and more and more junk, lies, poison. My vessel is a temple. So who I associate with, the information I take in, the people I surround myself with, all of this matters. Because there's also that sense of, the emperor has no clothes and the propaganda and everything, the jack in the box, the devil in the box, the person that's selling empty boxes, snake oil, empty promises. Astrology by Lauren, she says, so what we need to watch for. Dissolution of the structures of our lives. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, borders, the infrastructures in our lives, such as governments, institutions, systems, rules, and laws. They're dissolving. The old way is dissolving so that we receive the new, the best of the best. It's pure. Neptune has the capacity to dissolve the structures of our lives. This is what happened the last time Saturn was conjunct Neptune in Capricorn, and we saw the fall of the Berlin Wall, which eventually led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And the old rules don't seem to apply anymore. As a result, we could find ourselves floundering, trying to find some sort of recognizable purchase to hold on to, even as the tides keep shifting back and forth. This is a very uncomfortable feeling for Saturn that relies on structures, laws, rules, and systems. So, like all of us, Saturn, when we have to let go of the past, a person, a place, a thing, whatever it may be, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good in the moment because we feel destabilized. However, once we walk through the fire, we get to the other side, and literally, we've talked about this. We look back and we go, what took you so long? Why did I cleave and hang on to something old and outdated and that undermines me and doesn't nourish me in my highest octave? Let me go step into that greatness, my greatness, our greatness. While Saturn was in the last degree of Pisces, and both Saturn and Neptune will return to Pisces later this year for some unfinished business, there was already this sense of things fading and dissolving. But in Aries, we are now being given an opportunity for a birth, for a rebirth, a renewal, a new beginning. This first entrance may be only giving us a glimpse of what that could be, but a glimpse may be enough. So we're going to get this prelude of what's going on, this glimpse, but that may be enough. Saturn entering Aries puts the focus on the individual and asks each of us to take responsibility for our own destiny. Like a general in command of the army, Saturn in Aries asks us to focus our will and take charge. It's about getting clear. It's about soul source connection, soul source alignment, leading with your soul. That's the general in command. That's who you want in command. And then ego, mind, personality, human in service too. As a result, we have the potential to manifest our dreams, and to do this well, we need to get to the heart of things. What is it that really matters in the end? When all is said and done, what really matters? How do we connect those dots? To what end are we doing something, or keeping a mask on, or an identity, or these trappings, as opposed to what really matters in the end? The purity of your soul, that you're living this life, this incarnation, with the fullness of your divinity, your soul. That's what matters in the end. So what is it that really matters in the end? So much so that you are willing to make certain sacrifices for it. So much so that you are even willing to take a stand and scrabble your way to the top of a mountain for it. It's time to get serious, and it's time to get tough. The general is here. Saturn just entered Aries. This is by Astrology by Lauren. It's powerful. And it's number 3 from the unseen. They said, Practice makes perfect. No need for fake it till you make it. See, there's no need to fake it till you make it. The general is here. Saturn just entered Aries. It's time to get serious. It's time to get tough. And it's time to practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect means you're doing it. You're walking the talk. You're actively doing it. Like meditation, there's no wrong way to meditate. Well, there's no wrong way to listen to your soul, to follow your soul. All you have to do is listen to your soul, and you'll know it's different. Ego, mind, personality, yap, 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 yap. It's like a yappy dog. Soul source connection, it's a knowing. It's a whisper. Doesn't mean it's faint. Faint meaning weak. It can be soft and be all-powerful. You can understand something in a flash, in a knowing. Follow it. Practice makes perfect. Number 5, which denotes change, they said walk. The unseen said walk - speak softly and carry a big stick. It was a statement. Speak softly and carry a big stick is a statement attributed to Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore means gift of God. Roosevelt means from or of a rose field. So this is, and it's number 5, so it's about how to navigate. Walk, speak softly. There's no need to yell and shout, and it's like youthful folly. It speaks for itself. And if needed, necessary, if confronted, carry a big stick that says, I will defend my right to evolve, to grow spiritually, to move beyond who I've been, where I've been, to reach my highest ideals, the highest octave of myself. And why? Because as astrobutterfly.com said, this time is different. We haven't been here in 9,000 years, in at least 9,000 years. So this moment of connecting the dots, making sense of the big picture, what's really happening, going to occur, will blow your socks off. We're going to find it extremely exciting and good. Number 2 from the unseen, they said peacetime. And then they said, we often speak of wartime. So again, this Mars, creative, the divine masculine, the Piscean, it's like, it's war, 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 war. We often speak of wartime. This is about peacetime. And there's a reference to the 1,000-year reign, the millennium, this era of peace. So again, these astrological occurrences, just the the Saturn and Neptune at the 0 degree of Aries, hasn't happened in 9,000 years, let alone all the other 3. The big Pluto is now in Aquarius, first time since the American, French, and Industrial Revolutions. Jupiter is getting ready to move into Cancer. Uranus is getting ready to move into, well, I'll come back to you, I have to remember, later in the year, I believe Gemini. So this is unprecedented. So be ready, because when all is said and done, it's magic. Walk, speak softly, carry a big stick, and go forth and conquer. Let your soul lead the way. Can't wait to see you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for always being here on this beautiful journey with us on Weekly Wisdom and Insights. And I can't wait to see what the unseen has in store for us next week. Until then, be well, be guided, and be your divine selves. Love you all.
You've been listening to Dear James Live. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions, and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting dearjames.com.